I honestly, for Liverpool fans, I mean, obviously they'll miss him in more ways than one, but what they'll miss is the electricity in Liverpool games. You know I'm not a Liverpool fan, but I tell you what, when you watch Jurgen Klopp Liverpool team play, you're usually watching a good game of football. And at the end, it's easy to see teams, obviously, close games out, be a lot more solid, go 5 at the back, 5-4-1. Honestly, I played for a manager who was exactly the same as him. They always took risks, they always played with courage, always played on the front foot, and they didn't stop at any part during the game. And I have to say, it's quite unique in this modern day to have a manager like that. So I was, I was actually begging him to carry on playing at the end.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but what I would say on that, I think if that wouldn't happen to Arsenal or Manchester City, and that's the reason why Liverpool...
The control.
Yeah, they've got more control. They don't allow that situation to happen. The game's killed at 3-1.
We knew they were guaranteed to finish third, and that is the case. They have 79 points. They'll get to 82 potentially. Aston Villa can get to a maximum of 71. Spurs can still get to 69, but only if they beat Manchester City tomorrow night. Sheffield United is their final game. If they were to beat Manchester City tomorrow night, then goal difference becomes interesting as well, doesn't it, on that last day?
But Tottenham's mindset was always going to have to be to win these 2 matches.
But if they lost tonight,
I know,
there was a chance for Spurs if they drew the game.
Playing for a draw, the mindset was always going to have to be to go and win these 2 matches. It doesn't change.
Do you think that helps Spurs, though, in some ways?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think... I've watched Ange Postecoglou's teams all season. You have, we all have. They don't play for draws. They go and play to win, so... tomorrow night, we'll see.
Yeah, but I mean, that would have been better. It would have been better. You can still play for a win and the game ends up a draw. It doesn't mean you change your mentality in terms of trying to win the game, but it definitely makes it more difficult for them now.
Remember as well, Spurs, Man City, Manchester United and Newcastle wrestling for a place potentially in the Europa League, Europa Conference League as well. So there's something on that game on Wednesday night. It's a bit drier on Wednesday as we head back to Old Trafford. Don't think they've fixed the roof yet. Terrific ending for Aston Villa, coming back to get a point which could get them over the line in terms of Champions League football next season. Not quite done yet, because Spurs are 5 points back. They have that extra game in hand, but of course that game in hand is against Manchester City tomorrow night. So much energy, wasn't there, at Villa Park tonight? And you heard from John McGinn, from the horse's mouth, about what is at stake for these players. Not everyone in that Villa team has won a World Cup. Some haven't played in the Champions League before, and they are going to be glued to what happens tomorrow night when Spurs take on Manchester City at 7 o'clock. If Spurs don't win, Villa are playing Champions League football next season. This is an atmosphere transformed at Villa Park, isn't it, this season?
Yeah, I mean, we're in the studio, but you could feel that roar, on that third goal went in. And I've been there at times this season when they've had big results. And it's great to see a club like Aston Villa getting back to where their supporters feel they should be. And there's a lot of giant clubs in this country who, because of the way the game's gone, have not maybe won a trophy for 10, 15, 20 years. And they feel that the hope of actually getting back to what they were in the past. This is European Cup winners in the early 80s, getting back to what they were in terms of challenging for trophies. And what he's done and what Aston Villa have done is give everybody hope. And those teams maybe just outside what we class now as the elite, maybe rightly or wrongly. You think of, even Tottenham have gone a long time without a trophy. You think of sort of Everton, West Ham. That was brilliant about West Ham, winning a trophy last season. And it's just great when you see a different team having these scenes and basically mixing it with the big boys next season if they do get over the line.
I thought it was great, Gary, what John McGinn actually said, because I think we forget sometimes what it means to these players. A player like Jhon McGinn, who's come from Hibs down to the Premier League, had to fight his way to this end of the Premier League.
Yeah. Do you know something? It's something that players talk about, that Champions League music. You sort of got on a Champions League night, you're playing against one of the great teams like AC Milan or Juventus or Bayern Munich, whoever it may be. And Aston Villa's history is about those types of games. So the idea that this group of players, and some of which have never played in the Champions League before, it's absolutely fantastic, and we need more of it. We need more disruption to the sort of, if you like, top 4, top 5, whatever we think of it is. We need results like this. Newcastle did it last year, came into it. Aston Villa this year. Obviously, Leicester did it a few years ago. The more it happens, the better.
He has absolutely got them in the palm of his hands, though, hasn't he? Just wonder what could happen with another summer of recruitment. Remember, they've got 2 billionaire owners. Like everyone else, they've got to juggle the financial constraints of the Premier League.
That will help if they get the Champions League.
Absolutely.
Massively.
Give them a bit more wriggle room. But it should have been over tonight for Liverpool, shouldn't it, at 3-1?
Well, I mean, you say that more often than not for most teams, it would be. But, I mean, this is a great thing for Jarrel Quansah. You know, the young centre-back who played a lot of games this season. You just see him here at the back post. Again, it's another set-piece Villa can see. But this header is absolutely out of this world. And you see, he's trying to hold his run because of the offside trap, if you like. But he gets up so high, and he's actually ahead of the ball. His body position when the ball is in the air and he actually makes contact, it's like, it reminds me a little bit. I've seen Ronaldo score these type of headers. You know, when he gets up so early and he's almost in the air waiting for the ball. And as it comes across now, I mean, let's just get it back just as he heads it. Can I get that there? I mean, look at his body position. Look how high his knees are off the ground.
It's a memorable first Premier League goal for him.
And then to go in off the top, almost that one where it starts outside and comes back in the top corner. So it was a brilliant goal.
Stop it there. The one thing I couldn't believe, just watching it from a Villa perspective, and you mentioned before the game about conceding from crosses, didn't you just isolate the back post against him? He's only from 6'2". Didn't he's the smallest player on the pitch? I don't know how that can happen. No, there isn't an adapt. You know, they don't adapt, or they don't sort of see the danger. You see Pau Torres, you see Tielemans. Someone, you just look at him. He's no chance, didn't you? I mean, he doesn't do very well himself. He lets him go inside him, but absolute mismatch.
Little pat on the back for Jamie. The pre-match analysis about conceding from crosses. Well done.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Get it right sometimes.
The work paid off.
But Liverpool really only have themselves to blame.
Yeah, they do. And what's interesting, Jurgen Klopp made substitutions and he took Endo off and McAllister goes back into the holding midfield role. And I think he's found it tough at the start of the season in that position because I don't think he's got the legs. He's got the footballing ability, but this time the footballing ability lets him down. But at times, he can take a little bit too long on the ball and get caught in that situation. But I sometimes look at that. Listen, I'm talking about Liverpool. You've got to look at this guy who's come on off the bench and changed the game. Yeah.
They were getting chances, though, weren't they, generally?
Yeah.
You know, Villa were getting close, they were knocking on the door. I mean, he finishes this one as well. He goes through his legs, actually, as he sort of like scissors on the ground. McAllister, there's no chance, Alisson.
But one thing I've noticed actually about Arsenal this season, we talk about always playing from the back. Mikel Arteta and Arsenal, in a situation like that late in the game, are not scared now to actually go direct. We sort of feel like we don't see it as much now, you always play from the back. But I see Raya a lot of times now, late in a game, they'll just go along with it, and I think it's refreshing, actually.
We talked before the game about the potential force of the Aston Villa crowd, and suddenly they sense something.
Now, once they got that second, I mean, you just felt that something would happen. The momentum shift in the game was there. Liverpool were attacking less and less, and Villa's tails, but it's a massive prize for them. Just talked about it, and this is a really good pass into him, you know. Pass from McGinn into Diaby. I mean, obviously, he talked about legs and being able to run. He gets done there, McAllister, on the sort of half turn, but what a play it is from Diaby. I mean, he's electric when he's like this, and then there's a bit of luck. There's a bit of luck,
but is there a bit of actually intent there as well from Duran?
I don't think so. I think what he may do is look to try and control it. He's so fast. I mean, this is slow-mo, so you don't really get it. I mean, it looks there like he might have meant it. He doesn't. I mean, he may just adjust his legs slightly because he thinks that he might want to control it, but it just hits him.
I think, listen, he doesn't mean to do that. Of course he doesn't, but
be one heck of a finish if he did.
No, but my point being is, I think if you're actually, I'm trying to actually look at his running action and how high his knees are.
Does he overstride a little bit, as if he does mean it?
Yeah, it feels like he lifts his knee just slightly above. I think we see it more on the next angle, but when you see his actual running action before it gets to him and how high his knees are going, so you just keep an eye on him now where his knees are, right, left, there. It just feels like when the ball comes in, his left knee just goes a little bit higher than maybe what the normal stride would be. He seems to just maybe lift it. Listen, who knows? Only he knows. But they got that little bit of luck. But over a season, you know, have they been the team who we'd say have been the fourth best team in the league and maybe deserve to be in the Champions League? I'd say yeah. They've still got to get over the line. We'll see what happens in the last two games for Tottenham. But maybe they deserve that luck because, as I said, I think they've been fantastic all season. Yeah, disappointment for Jurgen Klopp.
One game to go in his Liverpool career, in his Premier League career as well. He is going to be, it'll be easy for me to go to Jamie on this, he's going to be one almighty miss.
Yeah, the games that they're playing are always good games, and he plays football in the right way, the way in which, you know, there's this sort of question that gets asked, who's your sort of favourite manager? And I would always say Jurgen Klopp. Obviously, the team he manages, I'm not a fan of, but, you know, he's just the personality, the character, the style of play, it's the electricity to it. You know, it was called heavy metal football when he first came to England. It's adapted slightly, but I love watching his Dortmund team in the Champions League. When we had the Champions League sort of all those years ago, that Dortmund team were amazing to watch. And so with this Liverpool team, they play football as it should be played. Everything out there on the pitch, players going forward, players pressing, players looking to score a goal, tackle, run, pass, all the simple things. We hear a lot about structure, we hear a lot about tactics, and we love it. We love all the different styles of play. We respect that some teams have to play more solid, but we need teams like that.
The XG of Aston Villa, incidentally, tonight was 3.36. That's the second highest figure in any game this season. We think about the 3 goals they scored, but also that huge miss of Diego Carlos. And go on.
So do you say that was the second of any team?
Second highest.
Well, that's what some
Aston Villa's second highest in this season.
Aston, sorry, because Liverpool's actually against, I think Newcastle this season on a Monday Night Football was about 5 or 6 or something bizarre, and that probably sums Jurgen Klopp up.
Is he the most exciting Liverpool manager there's ever been? Because I always think back to the Liverpool teams, maybe not Kenny Dalglish's team, but you know the ones that you played in, even maybe early in that, there was quite a sort of a, you know, they were famed for sort of, if you like, killing the game, weren't they? Sort of back in the 70s and 80s. Is he the most exciting Liverpool manager ever?
I think you're right. I think there's something in that, but that's something for the neutral. I don't think when it's your team, you want to be known as the most exciting team or the best watch or the most entertaining. No, I don't. Well, I'd rather win more trophies.
No, I get that, but what I'm saying to you is this.
Well, you're talking about Liverpool teams of sort of like what they did away in Europe under, say, Bill Shankly or Bob Paisley, Joe Fagan.
Exclusive of those points. You can be the most exciting team and win trophies. You don't have to be either or. I mean, he has won trophies and he's won Champions League.
But what I would say is there's no doubt, if you're the new manager coming in and people say you can't replace Jurgen Klopp, you said before the show, and you're right, how can you replace that personality, the sound bites in the press conference, that connection that we see with the Spurs? That is very difficult. But in terms of on the pitch, the first thing the new manager has got to look at that is Liverpool defensively. Because you said Jurgen Klopp type of football is your best. I think when Liverpool come second to City, the season after they won it, and then I think a year or two later, they pushed City again all the way. I would say that is my favourite type of football, because that is Jurgen Klopp getting everything right in terms of being strong defensively, being so exciting, attacking. But it's difficult playing that football, the way he plays it, such a high-octane sort of style of play, and getting that balance exactly right at both ends of the pitch.
It was the Wijnaldum and Henderson doing those jobs in behind Mane and Salah, wasn't it? They were sort of shuffling across, and they were providing a lot of cover for that defence, but also for the wide players who were staying forward.
I thought it was interesting, Gary. He was so animated on that touchline tonight, wasn't he? But when he said, you know, there was the families and everyone going around the pitch, and him obviously getting the fans going as well. But he's very quick to stress they're not celebrating the top 4 just yet.
Yeah, I think it was really important for him to sort of explain that they were celebrating the season, obviously thanking the Aston Villa supporters for everything that they've done, but there's obviously still a job to do. And look, I think if you were Aston Villa, I know they said that he didn't. Did he answer the question about whether he'd be watching tomorrow night or not? I can't remember what he said now.
I wasn't sure when he didn't really answer the question.
No, but I would be absolutely all eyes on that game, me tomorrow night. Thinking that City are obviously favourites to do the job, they need to win, and that they can have the most amazing night out sort of during the week, can't they? Tuesday, Wednesday, unexpectedly, because obviously Villa...
Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday.
Absolutely. They can have an absolute belter of a week. They can. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? I think Arsenal will be really disappointed, but imagine Villa tomorrow night if this result goes, you know, the way in which...
Well, if Spurs were to win, it makes it a little bit edgy going to Crystal Palace, doesn't it?
It does. And listen, we're thinking about things riding on the last game, maybe for the title. We've still got that. I mean, we're both there tomorrow, aren't we? I mean, it's a massive game, isn't it? You know, for both clubs. And tomorrow, I think if City win, I think they've won the league basically tomorrow. But I mean, if Tottenham win, that does take that, you know, to the last game, and then Arsenal won the league.
Does feel a little bit like a season definer, doesn't it? Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Tottenham against Manchester City. But do not leave us yet. It's been fun this season. I think we've seen more goals on a Monday Night Football than ever before. Not many as wildly celebrated as one that we've seen this evening. A late entry for celebration of the season right here.
He's offside. Oh, it's in!
Oh!
This sums up.
Well, you enjoyed that, didn't you, Gary?
Particularly Liverpool can see late on, yeah.
That was the equaliser. We also had a little bit of controversy earlier on as well. Have a listen to this. Well, that was the first of 4 career goals in the right net.
5.
Well, 4 in the league, maybe. So was it 4 or was it 5? We've explored this a little deeper.
Liverpool tell me it's 5.
The Premier League say it's 4.
Yeah.
So let's have a look. The controversial moment came at Middlesbrough.
Against Middlesbrough.
Against Middlesbrough at Anfield, yeah.
I mean, look at me driving us. We're getting beat 1-0. This is the equaliser. I mean, that is on target. That is deadly serious. That's going on target.
This is what the Premier League have said on it. The dubious goals panel decided the deflection of Carragher's shot was sufficient for the goal to be shown as an own goal by Middlesbrough defender Pogatetz.
I'd say so, would you?
But earlier in your career, there was maybe one that should have gone your way that Michael Owen might have something to say about.
This was a deal I did with Michael Owen on the way home.
A deal you did.
He said, tell people I touched it because he was going for the Golden Boot, and he actually won the Golden Boot this season. He doesn't get anything on that. And me being the lad that I am, I let Michael Owen have it, and he's got a Golden Boot at home.
Something sounds a little bit criminal about that.
Criminal. Don't go down that route.
Giving goals away to other people.
Just a little bit of fun between friends. No criminality involved at all. Right, let's see though if you've actually managed to get a few of your predictions right. Let's have a look at the start of the season. They were here in August, and we put them on the spot. We don't know still the outcome at the top. Both of you went Manchester United in your top 4, though. Gary, anything to say on that?
I mean, I think most people would have gone for United in the top 4. It's been a massive underperformance and, bad season.
You had Aston Villa, though, in your top 6.
Yeah, it was purely because of Unai Emery. I just obviously fancied that he'd have a good season. The challenges obviously was Europe and coping with that, but they obviously, I mean, none of us had them in the Champions League spaces, so if they do that, then it would be unbelievable.
Looks like you were correct on the relegated sides, Jamie. You went for a clean sweep of the promoted clubs.
Yeah.
But Gary went for Bournemouth.
To be honest with you, I'd gone to see Vincent Kompany and Craig Bellamy, actually, I think early in the season. Vincent Kompany, when they'd come back from pre-season early. I just never thought with the money they'd spent and the way they'd dominated in the Championship, they would go back down. But they've, again, it has been disappointing for Burnley. I mean, obviously, you give them a bit of a softer time because teams coming up from the Championship, it's not easy, but I think they'll be really disappointed with how it's gone.
Bournemouth 11th could finish in the top half.
I mean, just get it wrong. I mean, hands up.
Which means you must be delighted with your one to watch, Jamie, of Andoni Iraola, who's agreed a new 2-year extension today.
Yeah. And even funnier is not is who he's picked.
No, but I think that Onana was the one to watch and has been one to watch.
So like,
I think I remember.
One to watch is like a new Manchester United goalkeeper having lost David De Gea for, I don't know, 10 years, whatever it was. That is certainly, for me, who's one to watch.
So your one to watch is not about you think he's going to do well, it's just
I think
you've
my
got to watch
impact
him.
signing's all right, do you not?
Yeah, the 100 fella cost 100 million.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you, I think I'm probably above on that one.
I think I remember
and Villa,
you qualifying.
by the way. So I'm above on Villa.
That, but Jamie could get Newcastle as well.
And he could get City, actually, as well.
He could. I remember you qualifying Onana as being, a crucial position for Manchester United, and it could go either way.
Absolutely.
Which way has it gone, would you say?
I would say probably in some ways, I'd say par. I think he started off he struggled. Champions League really struggled, obviously. But he's had a decent sort of second half of the season, made the odd mistake, but shown personality and character. I think you need that second season inside him to really sort of come to terms with it. But I think there's something there.
I would say pretty good, I think, from both of you on your pre-season predictions. Let's then have a look at the team of the year. There have actually been a couple of late changes.
Oh, has there?
I need to tell you about. We'll get to that.
You don't know anything about it, Gary. These are the ones that the guys have agreed on.
He's changed his positions,
Well, we'll find out.
Because I haven't.
There is, as you can see, quite a heavy dominance of Arsenal and Manchester City and Cole Palmer as well. Jamie, why those centre-back pairings?
Is that my team?
They're the ones you've both agreed on.
Oh.
Why? Did you pick Van Dijk?
No, I went for a back three.
What?
What do you mean, what?
But those two are in your team.
I mean, as a partnership, I mean, it's the first... They've been together really sort of 2 years, but when you think of them sort of this season, I think if this partnership stays together for the next 3 or 4 years, we're talking about this alongside Ferdinand and Vidic, Carvalho, John Terry. I'm just trying to think of other partnerships. I can't think off the top of my head, but they're the two that really stand out. And I think those two could go alongside certainly some of the best partnerships we've seen in the Premier League.
A lot of talk about Saliba, but Gabriel
Yeah.
been absolutely outstanding.
Interesting the way you handled him at the start of the season.
Yeah, there was something going on, wasn't there? Potential for him to leave, but then Arsenal were struggling a little bit. Not struggling, but they weren't themselves. He tried different things, but I think once Gabriel came in, he's been outstanding. Gabriel, absolutely brilliant.
No debate on that midfield three?
No,
No, not at all.
No, it's a certain midfield that.
Rodri and Rice way ahead of everyone else in terms of that position.
Rice is not that position. I mean, that's been established, I think, this season that Partey or Jorginho have had to come in. Rodri is that position. Rice can't play that position very well, I don't think. He's better in that free position on the left. I think that's been established by Mikel Arteta.
I think he can play it. I think he can. But I think what this has shown is the fact that I think most people just add him down as a centre mid. I always felt his passing ability was a lot better than I thought he was given credit for, Declan Rice. And this thing about he can play holding midfield play, but I think he's actually shown he can actually do a bit of everything, the box to box. You think of the goals they scored last week. I'm trying to think if they played last week, where he was running forward and he'd done a really quick sort of pass and he knocked it into Trossard.
Bournemouth, wasn't it?
Bournemouth at home for the second goal. I think he's a brilliant player.
I think that position, to be honest with you, is it's a different level of intelligence. I'm not saying Declan Rice is not an intelligent football player. I think he's a sensational player and how he's improved is unbelievable. But I don't think he can play in that position with real discipline. And I don't even think Gareth likes him being there. I think he'd rather have another midfield player that would play there so that he can free him up to go and sort of, if you like, run onto the game, run forward, press high. I think Rodri is a different level in that position than Declan Rice, but Declan Rice is a different level in the position that he is on that left.
All right, we're going to have a look at your team now, Gary.
Yeah.
Fill in the blanks for you. There we go. All right, so Emi Martinez keeps his place in goal.
Yeah. I think his XG goal set to saves, whatever it is that you measure these goalkeepers by, personality, character, Alisson, just that little injury maybe, and just maybe how he finished the season sometimes has an impact. Villa, I felt as though I had to have a Villa player in the team, and it was either going to be Watkins or Martinez. And in the end, I was looking at Martinez, Alisson or Pickford, and it's the first time I've ever looked at Pickford, and I wanted to mention him tonight because I think I've been critical of him at times earlier on in his Everton career. I think he's proved himself with England. I think now he's become a really reliable, good goalkeeper. And I think Martinez is, I think, to me, the best goalkeeper.
Why does Destiny Udogie make your choice at left back?
For me, it's been a struggle for most teams at left back. You think of the top two teams. City, it's been a struggle for at times. Obviously, Gvardiol's come in the last few months. Arsenal, it's been the one position they've changed around. Udogie, different level when he played for Tottenham and such a massive miss for them. So I've got him in at left back. Robertson, who's been my sort of, if you like, standard pick for years. Yeah, he's not there. And Ben White, it was either Ben White or Trent Alexander-Arnold, but I just felt with the way Arsenal defended. And
how much has his game developed, Gary?
A lot. I wasn't sure about him, I'll be honest. I wasn't sure. He fell in between. Is he half a right back and half a centre back? That was my view of Ben White. I wasn't sure what he was, but he's developed into a really, really good right back. And I think of him now in the same sort of quality this season for one season. Do you know how Ivanovic and Azpilicueta were for Chelsea for many years, playing as that sort of like that position? I think he's done really well there, so he deserves to be in.
Easy one for you, centre forward?
Yeah. Do you know something? You only realise when you have these players, this is a special player, one of the greatest in the world. His goal-scoring numbers will go on to dominate world football for the next 5, 6, 7 years, in my opinion. And he just has to be in there. You can think about giving someone else a chance, and that would be the emotional, compassionate way to look at it. But every centre-forward, every club in the league, if you could name a centre-forward, and they could take one, would name him.
Jamie didn't.
Because he was trying to give everyone a go. That's fair. It's fair enough because.
How do you know what I was trying to do?
Because I was thinking it the same way.
Honest to God.
I was thinking of it the same way. But the fact of the matter is, you come back to if every manager in the league could pick a centre forward, it'd be him.
We know he's the best centre forward. It's about what they've done this season.
But you'd go for Ollie Watkins ahead of him.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Why?
Well, the reason I would go for Ollie Watkins is I think his numbers aren't too... there's not much difference in the numbers if you put the goals and assists together. He's playing for Aston Villa. He's playing for Manchester City. And actually, when I think of Erling Haaland this season... Listen, we know he's the best striker. You know, we get that. But this season, I actually think in the biggest of games... I've been slightly disappointed with Haaland. Maybe even sort of the Champions League against Real Madrid, the games against Arsenal, Liverpool as well. When he's come up against the real elite defenders, I think the elite defenders have got the better of him. Why is he talking about my team?
I mean, I think at one point, about 5-6 years, I think I picked a 3 at the back and got absolutely blitzed off him for it. If you've got the footage, get it out if you can. and look, I mean, no one loves De Bruyne more than me. De Bruyne is absolutely unbelievable, but he's played less than a third of Manchester City's Premier League minutes. Less than a third.
And have you seen how many chances he's created?
I know how many chances he creates.
Basically shows how good a player is. Kevin De Bruyne is the best player in the Premier League, and he has been for 5 years. The numbers he's got...
You just said I can't pick Haaland because of that.
Because of what?
You said that Haaland's... We know he's the best centre-forward, but you picked someone else.
But his numbers are off the scale.
So are Haaland's. He's top scorer.
I know, but he's virtually the same as Watkins. He's virtually the same. One plays for Man City, one plays for Aston Villa. Kevin De Bruyne has basically played half a season, yeah? His numbers in terms of chances created are off the scale. I mean, someone give me a stat. Someone come with me here. What's the stat?
Less than a third of Manchester City's... He's an unbelievable player, but I'm surprised he's in this year.
Well, don't worry about it.
Virgil van Dijk, couldn't leave him out,
What was that, Cheats?
He had to pick he's got to go back to Liverpool tonight. He can't not have a Liverpool player in.
Kevin De Bruyne is creating chances at a higher rate than anybody in the Premier League.
We're moving on to Virgil van Dijk.
So, this season. Now, the back three, I felt like I couldn't leave any of them out. And also, I didn't think there was any fullbacks that really jumped out at me. I mean, you've gone with the doggy. I mean, he just...
What?
What I'm saying is you went...
He's fantastic, a doggy.
I know, but he's not... The defensive record's really poor. I think what we've watched with Liverpool tonight, I actually think without Van Dijk, Liverpool would be in that fight with Villa and Tottenham in the last couple of games of the season. I think he's been that important. I think of that performance in the Carabao Cup final. And you think he's basically played alongside a young lad, Jarrel Quansah, for half the season. He started the season with Matip. He was out for the season. So he's basically had 3 different partners right throughout the season. And even when I watch him against Haaland, it was just... No, for me, I think he's been back to his absolute best. He couldn't leave the other 2 out. No fullbacks were really...
He doesn't even believe what he's saying here. He doesn't even believe it himself this year. Honestly, this year he doesn't even believe his own team. He's created a system that doesn't exist.
There's no fullbacks. What system? What system do teams play with the ball? What system do teams play with the ball? They play with a back 3 and they go with a 2 in midfield. How many teams play a back 3, a box with the ball and a front 3? Yeah. How many teams do that?
Yeah,
and that's what my team do.
Play that.
That's what my...
I had some information, Jamie, that until about 8:05 this evening, you had Emi Martinez in goal.
Well, it was a toss-up between the 2.
He doesn't even believe what he's saying, honestly. This year...
Jordan Pickford got the most clean sheets. He's got the most clean sheets behind Raya.
Oh, yeah, behind Raya.
I mean, he's playing for a team in the bottom, fighting relegation. He's got the most clean sheets. How many goals does he create, Jordan Pickford, from his free kicks on the halfway line? It was a toss-up. Listen, you can't take that mistake out tonight. That was horrific. He was at fault for the second goal. He was at fault as well.
You're walking in mud here. You're walking in mud.
So that back 3, listen, Rice and Rodri both had to be in. I think Cole Palmer has been almost as good as we'll get to that.
We're going to come to him.
One of the best players in the league. De Bruyne, in the minutes that he's had, has been the best player. Odegaard, Foden, and Ollie Watkins this season.
I like Ollie Watkins.
Do you think if Ollie Watkins was playing for Manchester City and Haaland was playing for Villa this season, who would have the better numbers?
No, I think you said clumsily last season that Haaland... No, you did. You said clumsily last season Haaland signed for the wrong club. I actually understood what you meant by that. in the sense that I think Haaland would potentially even score more goals somewhere else because it would suit him.
So it wasn't clumsy, it was right?
No, it was just the way he delivered it, as usual.
Right, we've got to go to my team as well. I managed to find the information for my team. Stats-based sites.
Dave,
I've been working with the stats department to come up with the players with the best numbers. I didn't care if they were playing for a fashionable club like you guys. This is what the numbers are telling us. So it is Jordan Pickford in goal, top four for
I was
XG
right with
prevented,
Pickford.
second most clean sheets, and far more involved in attacking play than other goalkeepers, with, as you said, direct passes into the box. Trent Alexander-Arnold, the biggest attacking presence at full-back. That tells you the story you need to know. We've talked about Saliba. Anderson next to him. Top 3 clearances per 90 minutes, strong 1v1 defensive stats, also top 3 for successful long passes per 90. Palace fans will tell you that's a real feature of his game, pinging it forward to Jean-Philippe Mateta and whoever else. Anthony Robinson leads Fulham in a number of categories. Most interceptions per 90 of any Premier League defender. He's very quick as well, we know that. High for open play crosses for 90 minutes.
What stats? I'm interested, because I was going to pick Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back or Ben White. But what stats determine that Trent Alexander-Arnold? What's the overall defensive to? What's the ratio defensive to attacking stats on it?
It's more about what he does on the ball, because I'm an offensive thinking coach. So
he plays on the front foot.
It's nothing. It's actually attacking stats and passing.
Yeah,
isn't
most
it?
passes into the box per 90 minutes.
Okay, I can see why then Anderson and Robinson
season.
and Alexander-Arnold are in.
Also, most possession won per 90 minutes.
Okay, so there is some defensive work in there
as well. Yeah. Anyone else that we're not talking about later on? I think the others.
Saka's unlucky not to get in. For Cole Palmer, Saka would have been in.
Most touches in the box of any player in the Premier League this season.
Saka's
Saka. Right, let's get to the awards then. Ooh. Thank you, Stats team, for helping me with that. Best player. Who is it going to be?
I spent all day thinking about this, and there was 2 players I was thinking about. Mine was Foden and Cole Palmer. And the reason I never went for Cole Palmer, maybe it's wrong to say this, but just the fact that he was with Chelsea and they hadn't had a great season and he hadn't played in the Champions League and maybe against the elite competition, but I could have tossed a coin on it, basically. I think Cole Palmer has been absolutely sensational this season. But I think this season for Foden, we know he's brilliant. I think it's been a breakout season in some ways where it almost feels like he's one of the main players in the team. Because if you remember, the Champions League final, he was on the bench. You know, the last game of last season, the big, City win the treble, he's involved. But he wouldn't have felt like as what he feels this season, where he just feels central to everything Man City are doing. What makes Ødegaard the best player this season?
I didn't have to think about it at all. I absolutely think that every game I've watched of Arsenal, he's a beautiful player, and he is Arsenal's. I think he knits everything together. Everything. I mean, obviously, I love Rice, I love Foden, I love all the players that we've been talking about. But for me, that is an absolute unbelievable football player, and I think the best player in the league that I've seen this season on a regular basis, the person that takes the ball on the half turn, tries to play the balls through into the right type of passes. If he had, for instance, you talk about De Bruyne, but if he had sort of a striker that made those little darting runs, and like an Aguero or that type, I mean, honestly, the amount of chances that he creates is unbelievable.
He's become their De Bruyne, hasn't he?
He's unbelievable, him.
Yeah.
And surely he's got levels to go as well. Yeah. At his age.
I think that's a peak this season. If he stays at this level, it's unbelievable.
Best young player. Well, you've mentioned him already, Jamie, because he was in the running for your Player of the Year. This is a player who's just brought joy to all of us, whether you're a Chelsea fan or not this season, isn't he?
Yeah, when they signed him, I just thought they've got so many wide players, so many players that they're accumulating in those positions. And obviously, he's got talent, but I don't think anybody will have thought that the goals and the output that's come from him would have ever been like it has. I mean, honestly, massive surprise that he's got to the level he has, and what a player. And you do ask the big question, how can Manchester City have ever let that player go? As many good players as they've got, you think they've got Doku, or you think they've got other players, Bernardo Silva's not going to go on forever. He would be the perfect replacement for a Bernardo Silva playing in between midfield and sort of that wide players. I think at Fulham on Saturday, Bernardo played wide. That could be him for the next 10 years.
What? You know what I would say on that? When a player goes to another club, we might turn around and say City have made a mistake, Pep shouldn't have sold him. I actually admire Pep for that. in some ways because it's easy to
Why?
Because it would be. Would he have played ahead of Bernardo Silva and Foden? He wouldn't have. No, my point being is...
I've heard that argument.
No, but it's easy to keep these... Managers don't like being accused of making a mistake with a player or whatever. But he's given him his head, and good luck to him, what he's done. He wouldn't have expected him to do that. But I'm sick of clubs keeping hold of a young player. Credit to him wanting to go out and play and move out to Manchester.
He obviously felt he was ready.
Yeah, but I actually admire Pep. He's given him a chance, and people might say, oh, you shouldn't have sold him. But
He'd said,
you know
Gary,
what? He's got to give the lad a chance. He wouldn't have played the football.
No, look, we have literally eulogised over Pep Guardiola for years on this programme. You can never criticise him, but we are allowed to say he got one wrong or that Manchester City got one wrong. If you've known a player from the age of 10, did he join that club?
Where would you have played him?
Hang on a second.
Tell me where you would have played him. It's easy to say it now,
hang on a second.
in hindsight.
He's joined that club at the age of 10. You know his talent. You don't let one of your own go if they're that good. Now, if they've got it wrong and they don't think he's that good, hold your hands up and say, look, to be fair, he's shocked us, he's surprised us, and, you know, that's fair enough. Honestly, they've either got it wrong, they've got it wrong for one or two ways. They've not really given him a chance and not created a pathway for him. Or, secondly, they've not thought he's that good. Whichever way, they've got it wrong. You cannot say Manchester City, one of their own that's come through the ranks from the age of 8, 9, 10, and they let him go.
I think he will have surprised them, but...
Well, they've got it wrong,
he might have surprised Chelsea as well, the level of output
Chelsea.
that he's
They've got it
producing in
wrong,
his
But where would
first
he
full
have played?
season.
Oh, my God, you can't say where's he going
Anyway,
to
let's
play.
move on.
Played ahead of Bernardo Silva or Phil Foden.
If he's a top player...
Or De Bruyne. Which ones does he play ahead of? None of them.
Let's move on, and maybe it's a decision for Gareth Southgate as well this summer, because he surely wants to get him in and around his team as well for the Euros. Declan Rice, we've talked about already, the best signing, you both agreed on that. So who's the best newcomer? We have got Iraola that we've talked about already for Bournemouth.
This was the one I was struggling with most, to be honest with you. I was struggling most with it because I didn't know it was a newcomer to the league.
So when you're Julian Lopetegui, who could well be going in there, you're looking at someone like Kudus and thinking this is someone I could build around.
Yeah, if they can keep him, absolutely. But I had to ask the stats guys to come up with, help me with this. Newcombe was the one I was struggling with. It's the only one that I wasn't really. That was the one I was struggling with most.
Best coaching performance. Who's it going to be? All right. So you've interpreted, I think it's fair to say, in different ways.
I interpreted it differently. So I thought it was best coaching performance in a match. I didn't realise it was over a season. So I thought that Sean Dyche, the way Everton played against Liverpool a few weeks ago in that really important Merseyside derby, the way they went and got about them, big game for them. They still weren't safe at that time, but it was almost the game that made them safe. I thought that was, to me, they're probably the game I thought, yeah, well done to Sean Dyche. He's done it right here.
Yeah, we don't mind that. Went to the tracksuit, got them going again. But you've gone for a season's performance from Mikel Arteta. So
Yeah.
I guess this is effectively your manager of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about Unai Emery, but you might say Arteta could finish. Maybe he might finish second again. We'll see what happens in the next week. But I think on the back of what he did last season, the disappointment, to then do that again, and that big decision he made with the goalkeeper. Now, I would say Raya has a lot of protection. I'm still not quite sure how good he is, if I'm being honest. But it was a brave decision, and a decision I think a lot of Arsenal supporters disagreed with, moving sort of Ramsdale to sub. But for me, sitting back, I'm thinking that's a brave manager, and that's a top manager to make a big decision at a time like that, where you know you might get criticised, but you know I'm making this team stronger. And I think that signing, bringing Rice in, changing Rice's position, he's come there as a holding midfield player, and he's seen he can do more than that.
Getting the best
and
out of
he plays, and Havertz as well, another one. So, and the football they've played, I think they've tweaked it this season. I think there's a little bit more control this season than maybe it was last season, but it was a bit more gung-ho, end-to-end. The way they set the team up defensively, I think Arteta, top manager.
And it was interesting, his reaction to that question yesterday in the press conference about progress. He said, no, this is history that we've made this season because we've already got the most wins, the most goals, and it could still, of course, end in the Premier League title. Biggest overachievers. Bournemouth, Gary says, and we know why, because he predicted them to be relegated.
I was left with no other choice. No, Villa were my other ones, so it was, yeah. It was Bournemouth or Villa.
Yeah, Jamie's gone for Aston Villa, who we've given plenty of praise to tonight. Underachievers. It's unanimous. It's a slam dunk for Manchester United. I mean, you both had them in the top four. Realistically, what did you expect
top
Man
four.
United.
Yeah.
Man United finished third last season. I thought when the signings, so you'd think they're bringing a better goalkeeper in, better with his feet. You're thinking, what I thought, they bring Mason Mount in almost to replace Eriksen. Similar sort of midfield player, trying to get on the ball a little bit. And they brought a striker in who they didn't really have last season. They had Weghorst, didn't they, second half of the season?
Weghorst, Martial played a few games as well.
So I thought, well, actually, they finished third last season. Maybe a little bit of an overachievement because I think Liverpool and Chelsea were really poor last season, which helped United get to third. But I just thought they've strengthened sort of through the centre of the pitch. And I didn't see them drop out besides, the top four.
All right, let's finish with the favourite game. And this has been a tough one because there's been so many you would think to choose from in the Premier League this season. Wait, there's no extra time in the Premier League.
My favourite game, to be fair, my favourite Premier League game of the season was the Chelsea-Tottenham game when they went to 9 men and Tottenham were amazing with 9 men. I thought it was one of the most...
So why didn't you pick that then?
Because to be fair, the FA Cup quarter-final, United v Liverpool, was really good, You should have watched it. If you don't watch it, the FA Cup, it's quite a good competition sometimes.
It was a joyous moment, wasn't it, for Amad Diallo and for Manchester United. We've had quite a few 4-4s this year, haven't we, Cheats?
I mean, it just... I do think this season, and on this show, the games that we've had, the goals we've had, I mean, tonight sums it up as well. I commentate on that game. That was a Super Sunday game. And I think my line...
brilliant game.
Yeah, I think my line that I got pulled up at Sky just before the TV deal was, this is why we paid the big bucks for the...
Thanks for sharing.
For the TV rights, yeah. But
it's not the only time he's been pulled up this season. Yeah. that was that week.
Yeah. Listen.
Next category. Favourite thing you've been pulled up for this season? No, that's not there.
Dortmund's the latest one.
All right, good. Excellent.
Have you got favourite goal?
Do we have favourite goal?
No, mine was Garnacho.
Mine was Garnacho.
The overhead kick.
Garnacho, the overhead kick. Yeah, we did pick one, didn't we? What was yours?
Yeah. Probably not enough space on the graphic, is that what it was?
What would it have been?
Garnacho.
Yeah, well done. Well done to Alejandro Garnacho, and well done. There's the award winners.
Be kind with your comments. It's not serious. Them teams are never going to play.
And,
Don't worry about
believe it or not,
see,
they take it very personally.
No, I'm fine.
Sure,
we just get held now on social media.
Thank you, boys. A reminder, we've got so much more still to come in this football season. It's not done yet. Because on Tuesday we've got Tottenham, Manchester City, 7 o'clock. And then on Wednesday...
Water polo.
Water polo at the Theatre of Streams. Manchester United taking on Newcastle. And then we have the race for the title in the Women's Super League. It's the final day on Saturday, 2 o'clock on Sky Sports Football. And, of course, we have the Premier League final day as well on Sunday. And we will let you know what we choose when we've chosen it. Jamie, Gary, thank you very much. That has been the final Monday Night Football of the season. It's been the final away day for Jurgen Klopp, and it was the point that took Aston Villa a little step closer to the Champions League. But they're not quite there yet. Good night from us.